Hello, everyone, and welcome as I take you along the spring break trip I took to South Beach with my mom and sister. This trip was everything I needed and more. Lately, something that I've been struggling with is getting pretty stressed out with everything I've been trying to juggle in between school, my social life, and creating content online. With that said, this wasn't your regular party all day and all night spring break trip in Miami. If anything, I'd say it was a relaxing getaway, and this was greatly influenced by the amazing hotel we stayed at, the Betsy Hotel. It's located right off Ocean Drive and Collins Avenue in Miami Beach, so it's in a pretty happening location. We were greeted upon arrival with a complimentary glass of Prosecco and immediately headed for the rooftop pool to get some quality tanning time in. Their drinks are to die for, especially the Miami Margarita and Mai Tai. I highly recommend. I've also wondered for such a long time why I feel so at home going to Miami, but I've finally come up with the answer. It feels like Atlanta with a beach. That night we didn't have any dinner reservations, so we just ended up walking around Espanola Way until we found a restaurant we were satisfied with, and that ended up being Havana 1957. And as you can see here, they really weren't messing around with their mojitos. We ended up in bed by 10 o'clock that night, even though we just had one. We spent our next day laying out at the beach and were able to snag a front row beach chair because we got out so early. And it proved to be pretty windy outside, but regardless, it was beautiful. What I'm about to say is definitely an unpopular opinion, but one of my favorite parts about going to the beach is the insane amount of glare the sun gives off on your phone. This allowed me to read a large chunk out of one of my favorite books of all time, A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. And then for lunch, my sister and I walked over to La Sandwicherie, which is this really good French sandwich shop in Sobe, and we got this yummy brie and veggie sandwich that came with this really good French vinaigrette. And we braved the wind and we still ate it anyways on the beach, and it was delicious. That was my mood after eating it. And this is what happens when you leave your dad and your brother home alone without any supervision. The dog ends up in the mailbox. The amount of money I would pay to get into my dog's head and experience what she was thinking while that was happening. Regardless, we still had a great day, and later that night we headed to the One Hotel's rooftop restaurant called Water, and we had ourselves a time. This was our green night, so we all wore green dresses. And me, being myself, tried to up the ante a little bit by wearing these 6-inch gold platforms I ordered from ASOS. Let's just say that I was feeling it after 2 extra dirty martinis, and it wasn't the prettiest sight watching me get out of our booth. And to the boy who was very cute and sitting at the table across from us, just know you have full permission to slide into my DMs. We spent the majority of our last day laying out at the rooftop pool deck, and thank the Lord we did because that allowed us to try the Betsy's Cuban sandwich and french fries. Yummy! And then we took a long walk along the beach before going back to the hotel to get ready for our last supper. It was a lot less windy this day on the beach, so we kind of regretted our choice of laying out at the pool deck after going on our walk, but you know what? Can't do anything about it. Here's an inside scoop of Emma getting her photos taken for the gram. You saw it here first. The amount of photos that we took on this trip is probably enough to last me an entire lifetime, I swear. And when I said earlier that our hotel helped exude a relaxing vacation atmosphere, it also has a library, so that says enough in itself about the time that we had. For dinner, we headed over to Biblo's, a restaurant focused on Middle Eastern cuisine and only a few blocks up from our hotel. After, we walked down Ocean Drive for one last time before heading back to pack for our flight the next morning. This was definitely a trip to remember, and I hope it becomes a tradition between my mom, my sister, and I. And I don't even want to talk about this. This was a low moment in my life. Traveling will do it to you sometimes. And when I came back to Atlanta, I had to recover by cooking up some healthier meals and then recouping by just changing up my environment, going on a walk around our neighborhood. And then the next day we went to the Bob Dylan concert at the Fox with our grandpa. We ended up leaving a little early because it just sounded like they were telling ghost stories around the stage, which is what my sister likened it to. And I've just been catching up on my blog posts just trying to relax as much as possible, but still having to do the mundane things like doing laundry from the trip, unpacking, and then getting ready for the end of the school year, which is so crazy to think about that I'm about to be a senior. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for tuning into my video. If you want to see more from me, make sure to like and subscribe. And in the meantime, I hope you'll have a great week. See you soon.